Greetings, future masters. I have an endgame problem for you. So I got this problem, white plays, Paching, Queen d4. So the opportunity of this problem is to teach you how to play these type of endgames. The first thing to play these endgames properly is you have to answer this question that you answer subconsciously when you get these things right. But I'm just going to tell you what it is so you can think about it. And that is the question of what scenario do I need to engage on this board that allows us to cash this victory. If you don't recognize this question, which will help you and guide you to play the right moves, you play random stuff like queen h7 check. You would analyze this move rather than if you ask the question and then you have to come up with the answer. I'm not giving the answer yet. I'm going to give you the answer in a little bit. Queen h7 check, stuff like that. It's like, okay, whatever. The first move I looked at is not the one I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you this move. I didn't even look at this move because I know through experience that this was not the right move. And this is going to use the brute force technique, which will help you. The brute force technique is queen to f8 check. I'm going to check this guy and see where it's going to go. So when you do this, essentially, the king in these open in-game positions, he's like a turtle, and he wants to go into his shell. So his most natural move would be king to, queen to c1 check, king to b5, or king to d5. Okay, so that's what this does. Queen c1 check, king to b5. And you're like, well, the only check we have left at this point from here is queen to f1 check. But he'll just go king to b6. And now what we've done is we've pushed him forward to his goal. His goal is to get the pawn and queen as a shield against our queen's checks and possibly help move his king into a position where he can protect his pawn and threaten to advance it to make a queen himself. So the rule that will help you when you're checking kings and open boards or semi-open boards with queens, one of the things you should look at the most, focus on, I guess, is diagonal checks. Like, for example, now this is a terrible move, but I'm just going to give you the idea. Queen h7 check has the one advantage that it prevents him from going into one of his turtle holes, but he'll go to the other one. King d5 is no longer possible if you check him here, that's the good part of it. The bad part of it is going to be king to b5. Conversely, this was the first move I analyzed, was queen to f1 check, knowing that the diagonals are where I'm probably going to make my profit move. So I was like, queen f1 check, he can't go to the natural, to me, the natural turtle hole was king b5. But he can go, king to d5. But I could play like, I could go queen b5 check and maybe I'm getting somewhere. But the problem is he'd go like queen c5, and if I trade queens, his pawn advances for nothing. So he'd have 5, 6, 7, 7, queen, queen, and we're drawing. That's not winning. So queen to f1 doesn't work. So I was like, okay, that's what this kind of brute force technique looks at. The other move I looked at was the what if move. What if I play queen to d3? Well, he'd go queen takes, pawn takes, and king takes, and he wins, all right? He's just winning this, no question. So I'm like, okay, I would like to play queen to d3. But I can't do that because it loses. That's what the what if technique tells me. And the brute force of checking on this diagonal is that he has other moves. So I was like, okay, well, because the thing is, we know the answer to this kind of problem is you want to trade queens because black has the slight advantage, which is enough to win the game in the king and pawn ending if we can trade queens. If the queens mysteriously pop off the board, black is cashing this game. This is one for black, no question right here. It's winning. So the thing is, we're trying to cash this, trade queens to cash this in. So since I can't prevent him, if I check him, I can't prevent him from going to either d5 or b5. Can I profit when he makes the turtle move? And the answer to that is yes, but how do I profit? And the answer comes from the what if. It's queen to d3 is how you're going to profit. So we need to check this guy and then play queen to d3 because that's the move that really is devastating to him. So that's what I wanted to do, was I wanted to check him with the option of playing queen to d3. Now, when you see this, this is the scenario that builds itself. So I need to check him with number one with my queen. And number two, after checking, I need to go or have the option of queen to d3. What square offers us and solves both of these two premises? Hopefully you saw the answer is queen to c2 check, which is not really an obvious move if you're just looking, what move do I make from the empty board? Because that's not helping you. Understanding the question that you need to ask yourself helps you find queen to c2 check is the winning move. Because you have queen 8, you have queen a2 check, queen c2, queen c1 check, queen to f1 check, and a bunch of other moves that don't do anything. So there's zillions of moves almost. Queen to c2 check is the winning move because we've identified the way to win this endgame. And if you don't know how to win endgames because you didn't study them, that's why you lose them. So at this point, he has three choices. Let's go with the one that loses outright. Queen to c3, queen takes queen, king takes queen. Black plays e3. There's no way to stop this pawn from queening because black will play king f3 and eventually king f2, and then this pawn queens. And this guy is way behind. So queen to c3, queen takes queen is an absolute win for black. If you need to go get your board and check it out yourself, go ahead and do that. Draw a picture of this, take a picture on your phone or whatever. But I'm telling you, this is a guaranteed stone cold victory. Go through later, check it out yourself and go, okay, you work through this and you need to work through it and see this yourself. If you don't do it, you're going to be lacking if you can't mentally go through this queen c3, queen takes queen, king takes queen, black plays e3. It doesn't matter if he pushes or plays king to d3, because if he goes king to d3, we go king to f3, and then e2 is unstoppable, which is just queening. And if he doesn't go king to d3 and goes b5, we go e2 and we queen the next move. He goes b6. That's it. He's toast. So queen c3 loses. Now he has two other choices, queen d5 or queen to b5. If he goes queen to b5, the two questions are the two, what do you call it? Now the word escapes me. But the two things we need to satisfy, we're checking him and going number one, and number two was going queen to d3. So if he goes to b5, queen to d3 check wins. If he takes it, we advance for free. So that would be terrible. the best he could do would be either king to c5, and we'd take the queen, or he'd just play queen to c4, and we'd take the queen anyway. So king to b5 loses. So king to d5. Again, the two platforms that we want to do was check him and then play number 2, queen to d3. Well, king to d5, it's queen to d3, because we're going to take this whether he takes it or not. It doesn't matter what white does. If he takes it, we take an advance. His king is way out of position. So he would just play king to c5 or whatever. We just take it. Nothing he could do. He takes back, e3, crushing. So queen c3 loses, king b5 loses, king d5 loses. What did he play? He chose to lose with king to d5. Now, because I taught you about the question you have to ask yourself, and in this case, there's two things we needed to do. We did A with queen c2 check. Now B says queen to d3. King to c5. Well, I just take your queen, because my goal is I win this because my pawn is one square further ahead. So the obvious move, both moves win actually. King f3 also wins, but e3 forces him to decide, waste a tempo on king d3 to stop this pawn, or push the pawn and get destroyed. He's on 5, 7, 6, queen. He can go to 7, but it's dead. And it doesn't matter if his king is right next to it, it's still a loss by force. You must know queen versus pawn on the 7th rank. You got to know when it draws and when it loses. So now he's wasted the tempo. Our king moves forward to the super square, which is the shepherd square of f2. And I call it the shepherd square because he's going to shepherd that flock of sheep home. It's forced. Maybe you make a mistake. Maybe you play e1. Not today. I'm a terrific king and pawn endgame player, as you have seen repeatedly. So, hopefully, this helps you, because this is how you solve these difficult problems. And this is a difficult problem. It was a 2400 plus problem. The thing that makes it so difficult is that you got to know how to win this. Or, if you don't know how to win it, you've got to be able to construct the question. How do I win this? What is the scenario I need to execute? And using the brute force technique with like queen to c1 or queen to f1 check, you find out where his reactions are going to be. And by using the what if technique of having my queen on d3, it tells us that we're close. And that's, once I realized if I can check him, then if his king is not, the what if technique is, what if his king is not on c4? Then queen to d3 is a devastating move, especially if it checks him or pins his queen to his king, which is what happened. So what I did is I took a very open and difficult problem, and by asking the right questions, reduced it to an obvious queen to c2 check, which just wins all over the place. But if you don't know how it's winning, it's not obvious. That's why these are difficult problems. So, killer endgame. Like my video, please. Comment and tell me what you thought about this. And subscribe, you'll get more killer info. This is how you become a strong player. You can't fake it. So, you guys know what to do. I'll talk to you later.